And the NFL got blackmailed by the Justice Department, this is on record, into politically being their tool in the last 6 years. And now they're being destroyed because the propaganda that they're putting out in the name of liability protection, meeting with Homeland Security, meeting with the Justice Department, meeting with the different Hollywood spin doctors, has turned America against the NFL. So here's the good news. The NFL is a tool of the globalist, and it's destroying itself. And all the wailing and flailing and flopping and foot dragging and screaming and squawking, all of it has done nothing but blow up in their face. So here is the statement that got all the big controversy going after 3 years of Kaepernick and all the other spoiled, rotten babies and all their Black Lives Matter and all their globalist propaganda trying to create racial division in this country that the WikiLeaks documents admit is to control the public and keep us fighting with each other. I mean, it's not my opinion that they're taking issues that comparatively are tiny compared to real issues. A couple hundred black people a year may get killed improperly by police. And as Stalin said, 1 man is a tragedy, 10,000 is a statistic. The number on average is about 240-something black folks get killed by police. Let's just say every one of those folks was innocent, which we know is not true. Millions of black people get aborted every year. Tens upon tens of thousands. It's over 3,000 a year just in Chicago, almost all of it black on black. We're talking death. Over 3,000 shootings, 2,000 plus deaths. Look it up yourself. In fact, that's an old number. Last year and this year are already worse. Something like 4,500 in 2016. Test my memory, number of shooting deaths in Chicago. 2016, or maybe it's 4,000 plus shootings and 3,000 plus deaths. Let's just pull those numbers up because my memory is usually dead on, but we'll see. The point is that, let me see, 4,000 plus black people shot by black folks in one city versus 200 and something people shot by cops that are black. And then they did studies, and they found out cops statistically shoot whites way out more often. You know why, though? That's because it's not racism, it's fear. And I guess some of you could say it would be racism. But most of the black cops I talk to say they have to slow roll into black areas now because it doesn't matter. They're wearing blue. They're hated. And folks are going to shoot at them and not appreciate them. And so you're not going to risk your life as much if it's an area where you know you're hated. And so the only truth to the racism stuff is that the police are being kicked out of these communities because of media hype. And then it's allowing crime to explode in those communities. And the truth is the cops go into the Hispanic, white neighborhoods, you name it, mixed neighborhoods, and they'll go into a house during a robbery. They'll pull over a car full of people that match a description of bank robbers. They'll do it. They'll risk their lives in an area where they at least don't feel like they're going to get shot in the back out of some house while they're trying to do it. And that's a fact. But see, I know the statistics. I know the numbers. I know the facts. And so do you. But you got folks brain damaged in the NFL. I don't care if they're white or black or Hispanic or whatever they are. They're brain damaged. They signed up to be gladiators. Hey, I'm all for a free country. I'm a libertarian. People want to pay to watch folks beat their brains out. Like to watch race car drivers, you know, go around risking their lives. Dale Earnhardt, you name it. We like to see men risk their lives. And the NFL got blackmailed by the Justice Department, this is on record, into politically being their tool in the last 6 years. And now they're being destroyed because the propaganda that they're putting out in the name of liability protection, meeting with Homeland Security, meeting with the Justice Department, meeting with the different Hollywood spin doctors, has turned America against the NFL. Hey, we got an idea. Let's use the NFL, America's sport, that we've made as American as mom and apple pie, and let's use it as a weapon. And they've done that with ESPN. They've done that with all these news shows. And what's happened? Everyone is deserting them. And so they start out with a project to do this a few years ago and get one idiot to go to a knee. They turn him into a rock star. Even though he loses his job and everybody hates him, they still, in the limited bubble of Hollywood and mainstream media, Kaepernick thinks he's really cool. He's so stupid. He thinks because his little commie mommy is on his side, you know, the evil white lady that adopted him. You know, all whites are evil. Like the whites in the Tennessee church that got shot by the black Muslim migrant. The child. They always say, oh, we're bringing in migrant children. There's another migrant child, 26 years old, and, you know, out just in a church gunning down the evil white people. He went to go find Christians, and he went to go find white people. We now know in his M.O. But that's all right. You won't be hearing about that anymore by tomorrow. So here's the good news. The NFL is a tool of the globalist, and it's destroying itself. And all the wailing and flailing and flopping and foot dragging and screaming and squawking, all of it has done nothing but blow up in their face. It's too bad the NFL got captured in the last 6 years. And it's too bad that now, since they've converted their culture into being lapdogs for the globalist, that they aren't smart enough to turn around and smell the coffee, to look which way the wind's blowing, that there's a resurgence of Americana. No. They hang out in the Hollywood areas. They hang out in the bubble of a bunch of old mummies that like to go to their little award shows and have their trophy wife. You know, you got these old men that have had like 18 heart surgeries, and they got to take 14 Viagras and everything, and they've got their wife that's 50 years younger than them, and they hobble up to the award show, and, you know, their wife gets to feel important because they saw some other movie star there, and it's all disgusting and boring and stupid, and a bunch of retarded peacocks who really care about being cool in this whole system. And they love radical Islam, and they love Linda Sarsour, and they love it all. Because even though they're America, and even though on average they're worth $50, $100 million in the NFL, some of them 200, 300 million, despite all that, they feel like losers. They feel like class envy. They feel like they have social envy and racial envy, because it's been indoctrinated into them from birth, white, black, it doesn't matter, to hate the country, to see themselves as inadequate, even though they run the country. One of their greatest victories, and now it's blown up in their face, was taking the Ron Paul InfoWars movement of going and protesting the Republican and Democratic parties 10 years ago. We call it the Tea Party. And it just meant getting mad at government, going to public events, speaking out, asking them hard questions. Just like our audience did again in this election, going and saying Bill Clinton's a rapist. And that taking over the airwaves. And the Republicans got scared, and they said, we better co-opt this and take it over. And I said, folks, don't freak out. These old guys want to think they're co-opting it. We're co-opting them. We now have massive Trojan horses in the Republican Party. We're going to end up putting a president in down the road. Don't be mad that Ron Paul didn't win the first time or the second time. We're building a movement, and we're building momentum. Now you got the Freedom Caucus, and we are inches away from taking over the Republican Party. We're defending the Supreme Court in a desperate fight, but winning right now, but it's desperate. We are dominating in the states, dominating in the legislatures, finally turning the economy back on. The socialist engineers and globalist engineers know they want to make folks poor to fool them into deeper control. That's always the communist program, to get you out of socialism into communism. But we got a major beachhead with Trump. With just his rhetoric, he's dominating and stopping the bullying and energizing the population as a standard, as a flag. He understands that. And rallying the troops under hellish attack, hellishly surrounded. I love other people bitching and complaining when he doesn't do something perfect or give you whatever you want, or they misrepresent what he ever said in the campaign and they claim he's gone sideways. No, he hasn't, except on WikiLeaks and marijuana decriminalization. Doesn't matter, folks. He's not a globalist. He's not your sworn enemy. And we are under attack by literal globalist, pedophile, Satan worshiper scum. Do you understand? Trump is an Americana bull who's a 71-year-old throwback, bare knuckles, New Yorker. You don't think it was easy for his dad to come out of nowhere as an immigrant and build a company? And I mean, they had to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, busting, getting in fights, you name it, to get where they are, folks, and a lot of other stuff. But the point is that Trump now wants to take on the New World Order. Because, see, that's what he wants to hunt. And everybody ought to be thanking their lucky stars every day he's the president. Or we'd be in giant wars. It would just be 10 times more hellish. Hillary would just be backing ISIS and Al-Qaeda all over the world and their whole Islamic Spring. I mean, it just goes on and on. And then we see President Trump up there, surrounded by these wolves. And believe me, I have solidarity with the president because there's only one other person that is as surrounded as me, and that's the president. I mean, I think it's great because I can fire in all directions politically. We can kill them in the information war peacefully. I mean, that figuratively before I say kill people. No, no, no. We don't want violence. We're winning peacefully. That's why the globalists want a civil war. But believe me, I've seen the whites of their eyes. I've seen the enemy up close. I've seen what they do behind the scenes. I've experienced their full attack of the maximum they think they can get away with without making me a martyr. And all it's done is just enraged me to fight them that much harder. I've just got to control my anger because it is substantive. And I just got to get smooth like the president and just channel that energy. But I'm trying, folks. I'm trying as hard as I can. But just to see a bunch of spoiled, rotten slobs, brainwashed, dumbed down, following the Hollywood establishment, and people ask why I hadn't been covering the NFL thing much last year or this year. It's because I've tuned out of it so much, and I'm so sick of it, and I can't even look at people worth $200 million that live in the lap of luxury, one of the freest countries in the world, and the fact that we had a civil war that killed almost 1 million people to end slavery, and we elected a black president, on and on and on, but all I hear about is how bad we are and how, by extension, I'm bad. And my children are bad because they're white. And I know it's a cooked-up deal by George Soros and big think tanks in their own documents, and it's all a giant fraud, and these idiots won't listen and won't understand it and won't get it through their head. So here's the deal. The NFL must be boycotted at maximum level. Everyone needs to go out now, and the target is to demonstrate on the main roads coming in at NFL stadiums, and I'm going to do it. And you need to do it. And go out there with signs saying the NFL equals BLM, or NFL equals Hollywood elite, or NFL has been taken over. And we need to expose it and how they got taken over by the Justice Department. That's admitted. And we need to absolutely go out and shame them at every event and at sports bars or wherever. Because I went to a sports bar this weekend with my wife because they got really good hamburgers and stuff. And I didn't mind that college football was on. But I tell you, if they get political, I'm going to tell folks, hey, let's turn this off. And they may not turn it off every time, but there's going to be enough of it where I'm going to walk around to the tables and say, you know what? We should stop watching the NFL because they hate this country. And if folks say, hey, I really don't care, whatever, say then you don't care about anything or a future. And you should call the owners of these sports bars and say, hey, get in the paper anyways. Boycott them. Say, we're not playing the game here. We're going to watch something else. Because what really matters at sports bars is getting around other people and talking and stuff. It's not about going and watching the stupid force-fed Hollywood crap. And if all of you just do a little bit like that, they'll be destroyed even faster. And we need to send them a message. Hollywood's already collapsing. That's admitted. It's crumbling. MSNBC, all the major news channels are falling apart. ESPN is falling apart. The NFL is plunging. And then what do? They arrogantly double down like a degenerate gambler and have gone all in on us. And we've got an excellent hand, folks. We've got a royal flush if we play it. They've got a bunch of nothings. Some ones, some twos, some threes in their little fat hands. We've got the royal flush, but we can't be bluffed by them. We got to let them play their hand out, ladies and gentlemen, before we play our hand out. You got to realize what you've got in your hand. You got Americana. You got guts. You got glory. You got will. You got understanding. You see through their crap. Like the Hispanic football player on the Steelers, who's an Army veteran of the Army Rangers, combat veteran. And they're talking about disciplining him because the coach said the team gives the orders around here. So you get one guy getting on his knee at first and then bullying everybody else, and then everybody's, we're just going to stay in the locker room. Oh, but the coaches and the teams fine folks for spiking the football or doing celebrations or whatever. Oh, but you can desecrate the flag. You can piss on the veterans. You can do that because that's what the corporate bosses want up on top, is to bully the president and use the NFL as a tool of anti-Americana. And it's not that America's perfect, but they're trying to replace it with globalism. Let's play that clip of the president, the clip that started it all. Here it is.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired! Wouldn't you love it?
Let's stop right there. The fact that people would think this was radical. The globalists had decided to demoralize us, shut our economy down, sell us out. That's the official globalist plan, just like Obama goes to South Africa, goes to Nigeria, goes to other African countries, and says, you can't have cars or air conditioning. It's the same deal. This guy shows up and he goes, yeah, you can have cars and air conditioning. You're not the problem. And let's all come together and let's love each other, and hugging black people all over TV and going to black churches and being prayed for and having Christians into the White House. Trump really believes in all this. And that's why they're calling him a racist. Because they're calling having a country and having a flag and having a culture racist. Because the globalists, in their own admissions, want to erase all culture, but their new globalist culture, that's like a computer program that they can tell you, this is political correctness this month, next month it's something entirely different. It's 1984, where you're like, have your whole memory erased every time, and you're just something new every time they tell you, and you think it's cool to be poor, you think it's cool to be a chump, you think it's cool to be an idiot. So this NFL thing is so big because Trump has had the courage to do it and say, boycott the NFL. It's a wimp sport now. It's a joke. It's been taken over. It's controlled, and it's political, and it hates our veterans, and blah, blah, blah. He didn't even say that. Then they come out, they do all that, and the NFL declared war on America. And they're going to lose. But only by this full-on attack did we finally wake up to a bunch of these little 1-inch tall Lilliputians beating the snot out of us. But once we get up on our hind legs, folks, it's clobbering time.
Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine. If you're interested in healthy thyroid, if you're interested in well-being, if you're interested in having a higher IQ, which this has been linked to, get your powerful Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsStore.com.